Okay, thank you very much for coming this event, International Roundtable, entitled "What is the role of the next generation of cognitive robotics?" Uh, so thank you very much. So I'm Shingo Shimoda, Riken, Japan. And thank you very much for joining many observers through the Zoom and through the internet. Already many of people are attending this event. So I will make a time for asking questions from the observers. So please join the discussions. So let's start this event. Again, my name is Shingo Shimoda. I will moderate this event, and I'm a chair of the IEEE LAS Technical Committee on Cognitive Robotics. And today, I invite the 7 panelists. Maybe somebody not yet coming, but 7 panelists I invite from the worldwide, and we want to discuss the topic, what is the next importance of the next generation of cognitive robotics. I will make a time for self-introduction later. So here I will introduce only the name of the panelists. The Lawrence Yamone from Queen Mary University of London, Professor Dimitri Ognivin from University of Milano Bicocca, Italy, Professor Takayuki Nagai from Osaka University, Japan, from Professor Kyujin Cho from Seoul National University, Korea, Professor Alessandra Scotti from Italian Institute of Technology, Italy, and Professor Yohei Oseki, University of Tokyo, Japan, and Professor Tadahiro Taniguchi from Ritsumeikan University of Japan. So today, the scope of this event is that now the social demand for robots to be our partner in our daily life is rapidly increasing. So full autonomous robot like this figure that is living with us should be the biggest dream for us, the robotic researcher, to respond to this social event. However, we can't create this kind of robot now because that cognitive capabilities, including the function for understanding the surrounding environment, for physical interaction and communication with human beings, and for finding the appropriate task as a member of the society are the most important factor for this kind of robot that to be improved for creating autonomous robot. What is enough in the current technologies and what is lacking for that purpose? That is not clarified yet. So we want to clarify it through the discussion in this roundtable. And we want to define the problem to be the base of cognitive robotics research, and we want to call that one cognitive robotics problems. So today's agenda is like that. We will do this event in 2 hours. And I will now introduce the event, and I will talk a little bit more to make a consensus why we need the cognitive capability for robot control point of view. And after that, I will ask the panelists to self-introduction. I said that 5 minutes each. That is because we want to focus on the discussions with not only the panelists, but with the audience, observers. Mainly, what is the problem and what is required for further advance of cognitive robotics, and what is the important research topic for further advances. And finally, I want to clarify the what is the cognitive robotics problems. And finally, that I will ask Professor Taniguchi for closing remarks of this event. So before moving to the self-introduction, I will try to make a consensus why we need cognition through the talk with what is the traditional robotics and why we need cognition and why we need the cognitive robotics problem. Okay, very simply, if we talk very simply, robot control is described like this. The robot is here and controller here. And as a research topic of robotics, the mechanism development or actuator development or material development, such kind of research can be here. And of course, that sensors here and control theory of cognitive science or signal processing. Such kind of discussion is mainly focusing here. But for control robot, we should, this kind of loop, feedback loop discussion is very important. But in traditional way, everything is modeled. So even we say loop, even robot, we don't need to care too much about the robot body. And like this figure, only the face of robot might be enough for discussion in traditional robotics control system. But as I said first, the recent social demand to respond to the recent social demand, this kind of robot control is not enough because we need to care about environment, especially uncertain environment. In the control loop, there exists uncertain environmental loops, so it is impossible to model completely in the control system. And furthermore, one of the most important uncertain environment for robots is, I think, human beings. In the social demands, as I said in the beginning of this talk, human beings should be inside the control loop to live together with human beings. So we can say that source of cognition, why we need a cognitive function, is existence of this uncertain environment and human beings. So now we should care about much more the body interaction with the human environment, interaction with environment, or interaction with human beings. So the embodiment, physical contact, understanding of context, symbol groundings, human in the loop, communication, such kind of can be a key notions for cognitive robotics. So I will show you one example. What will happen if cognitive system exists in the robot control? I'm not sure how many people have experience here wearing this kind of working exoskeleton robot. So when I bought this exoskeleton robot and successfully implement this kind of walking gait, I thought at least, okay, I don't need to any effort or a very small effort is enough for walking when we wear this one. But this is a result of wearing this exoskeleton robot. This is all our lab member, and this is me. Nobody cannot work. And finally, I fall down like that. This is because the robot control loop and human beings were separated. That is the reason why I can't work wearing these exoskeleton robots. But when I implement the cognitive capability, that is human beings in the loop of the robot controller, in that case, like this movie, even the beginner, he can successfully work with exoskeleton robots, and gradually he lost the effort for working. This is, I think, that's one of the important factors for cognitive system. So, one of the reasons why we need cognitive capability for robots is because there exists uncertainty in the control loop that is originated from the environment, or of course that includes the robot body, for example, the soft robot body. Such kind of one is also one of the environment, and also the human beings. But robot system have not overcoming this uncertainty problem yet. So this is, I think, that's important starting point today's discussion. Of course, that I don't ask everybody agree this point, but I think this one can be a trigger of start discussion.